8 signs someone close to you may secretly hate you. Advice from old people. As we grow older, we develop a keen sense of intuition, an ability to read between the lines and notice things that others might overlook. Experience teaches us that people are not always as they seem. Someone can smile at you, speak kind words, and even pretend to be supportive. Yet deep down, they may harbor resentment, envy, or even hatred. Recognizing hidden hostility is not about paranoia, it's about wisdom. When you have lived long enough, you understand that people reveal their true feelings in subtle ways. They may never say it outright, but their actions, tone, and body language tell a different story. Below are 8 signs that someone close to you may secretly dislike you, even if they try to hide it. If you recognize these signs, trust your instincts and protect your peace. 1. They mask their disdain with jokes. There is a certain cruelty that hides behind laughter. Not all humor is innocent, and as we age, we learn that some jokes carry an edge too sharp to be unintentional. When someone close to you constantly masks their disdain with sarcastic remarks, offhand comments, or backhanded compliments, it is often a sign of something deeper, an unspoken resentment that they are either unwilling or too cowardly to express outright. It starts subtly. Perhaps they tease you about your age, your habits, or your experiences in a way that seems playful, but leaves a lingering sting. Still driving at your age? Hope your reflexes are holding up. Oh, you don't know how to use this? Guess technology's moving too fast for some people. These remarks come coated in a smile, but their intention is clear: to make you feel small, outdated, or incapable. If you ever push back, they immediately dismiss it with a casual, "Oh, lighten up, you're too sensitive," as if the problem is not their words, but your reaction to them. True humor builds bonds, but disguised contempt erodes trust. A person who genuinely cares for you will never repeatedly use humor as a weapon. It is one thing to share a laugh over a mutual joke, but it is another when the humor always comes at your expense. The more you recognize this pattern, the more you realize that their laughter is not laughter at all. It is a thin veil over the resentment they refuse to name. Sometimes people who engage in this behavior are struggling with their own insecurities. They might feel envious of your stability, your wisdom, or the way you carry yourself with experience they have yet to gain. Instead of confronting their own shortcomings, they choose to chip away at you subtly, making small incisions into your confidence under the guise of playfulness. The more they make you doubt yourself, the more control they feel they have. The worst part of this behavior is that it creates an internal conflict within you. You may wonder, am I overreacting? Am I being too sensitive? You begin to second guess your own feelings, and that is exactly what they want. If they can convince you that their words are harmless, they can continue their subtle attacks without consequence. But here is the truth. If a joke makes you feel belittled, it is not just a joke. If you leave conversations feeling uneasy or humiliated, that discomfort is real, and it is worth acknowledging. Trust that instinct. You are not imagining it, and you are not being overly sensitive. You are recognizing something that was always there. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that require you to laugh off your own mistreatment. The next time someone hides behind humor to bring you down, see it for what it is and refuse to play along. 2. They offer fake support but never show up when it counts. There is a kind of betrayal that does not come in the form of open hostility but in quiet absence. It is the disappointment of counting on someone who is never truly there, someone who speaks the right words but whose actions never follow. These people present themselves as allies, as friends, as family who care. But when you reach a moment of true need, when the weight of life becomes too heavy to carry alone, you find yourself standing there, waiting, realizing they were never truly by your side. They are the ones who say, "Let me know if you need anything." But when you do, they have endless excuses. They are always so busy, caught up with something, or they simply forgot. They are the ones who nod and smile when you share an important milestone in your life, but their reaction is empty, their congratulations hollow. There is no warmth in their voice, no sincerity in their words. It is not that they outright refuse to help or openly disregard your achievements. It is that their indifference is so well disguised, you almost believe it yourself. The absence of real support is felt most acutely in life's defining moments. When you are struggling, these people minimize your pain. When you succeed, they acknowledge it in passing, but never celebrate with you. If you need a favor, they hesitate, delay, or make excuses until you stop asking altogether. Their unreliability teaches you a painful lesson. Not everyone who claims to be in your corner truly is. This behavior is not always driven by malice. Sometimes it stems from selfishness, from a lack of emotional depth, or even from jealousy. They may feel uneasy with your success because it reminds them of their own shortcomings. They may avoid being there for you in difficult times because your struggles make them uncomfortable. Regardless of their reasoning, the result is the same. You are left unsupported, unseen, unimportant in their world. The truth is, real support does not need to be requested twice. It does not come with conditions or excuses. It is present when it matters, even in the smallest of ways. A person who truly cares does not wait for convenience to show up. And if you find yourself constantly giving chances to someone who repeatedly fails to be there, it may be time to stop expecting what they are unwilling to give. 3. They downplay your life experiences. There is a particular kind of arrogance in those who dismiss the wisdom of experience. It is the casual way they wave off your stories, the way they subtly suggest that your past no longer matters, that the things you have lived through hold little value in today's world. It is an insult not spoken outright, but delivered through indifference, through an unwillingness to acknowledge that time itself has made you rich with knowledge. You notice it when you share a memory, something significant from your past, a hard-earned lesson, a moment of struggle, a triumph against odds. Instead of listening, they brush it aside. Things were different back then, they say, as if that somehow makes it irrelevant. Or they dismiss it with a condescending nod, pretending to engage but making it clear they are not truly interested. Their impatience is evident, their attention fleeting. You realize that to them, your past is not a well of wisdom, but a relic, something outdated and best left unspoken. It stings in a way that is difficult to articulate. You have lived through wars, economic collapses, cultural revolutions. You have witnessed the world shift and evolve in ways they cannot even comprehend. Yet, they speak to you as if history began the moment they were born, as if nothing before them carries weight. They may not say it outright, but their actions reveal what they truly believe, that their world, their experiences are more relevant, more valid than yours. This dismissal is not just ignorance, it is a form of subtle hostility. It is a way of asserting dominance, of making you feel small without ever raising their voice. If they can convince you that your past no longer matters, they can position themselves as the authority, as the one who truly understands how things work. It is not that they lack respect for the past. It is that they do not want to acknowledge that your understanding might surpass their own. But wisdom does not expire. Time does not render experience meaningless. What you have lived through, what you have seen and survived, carries value that no fleeting trend or new technology can replace. Your lessons are not outdated, they are foundational. The world may change, but human nature does not. And the insights you have gained over a lifetime are as relevant now as they were decades ago. The next time someone downplays your experiences, remember this: their dismissal says nothing about the value of your past. It only reveals their own insecurity, their own unwillingness to acknowledge that knowledge comes not from youth, but from living. Let them underestimate you if they wish, but never underestimate yourself. You have earned your wisdom, and no amount of indifference can take that away. 4. They constantly try to one-up you. There is something exhausting about being around a person who turns every conversation into a silent competition. It is not always obvious at first. Maybe it starts with a small remark, a casual comparison, something that seems harmless. But over time, you notice the pattern. Every achievement you share, every story you tell is met not with appreciation or genuine interest, but with a response designed to overshadow you. They do not celebrate with you. They measure themselves against you. You mention a trip you took, and instead of asking how it was, they immediately tell you about a better one they went on. You talk about an accomplishment, something that meant a great deal to you, and they quickly bring up their own, making sure to frame it as bigger, harder, more impressive. Even in matters of hardship, they refuse to let you have your moment. If you speak of a challenge you faced, they find a way to explain how theirs was more difficult, how they suffered more, how your struggle pales in comparison to their own. It is an unspoken battle, one you never agreed to fight. Every interaction becomes a game where they must prove their superiority, where your experiences are nothing more than stepping stones for them to climb higher. And the worst part, they do it with a smile, acting as if they are simply sharing, as if this is normal conversation. But deep down, you feel the weight of it. You recognize that their goal is not connection, not camaraderie, but competition. People who constantly one up others are not just insecure, they are threatened. Something about your presence, your stories, or your success makes them feel small. And instead of facing that feeling, they attempt to diminish you. They cannot allow you to have a moment of recognition because, in their mind, any light that shines on you is light taken away from them. Their self-worth is built not on who they are, but on how they compare to those around them. But you are not here to compete. Life is not a scoreboard, and your experiences do not need validation through comparison. The next time someone tries to turn your story into a contest, recognize it for what it is: their own insecurity speaking, their own fear of being overshadowed. Do not play the game. You do not need to prove yourself, not to them, not to anyone. Let them chase after their victories, their moments of superiority. You already know the truth. Your life, your journey, and your experiences hold value, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not. 5. They make you feel like a burden. There is no pain quite like the feeling of being unwanted, especially by those who once claimed to care. It does not always come in harsh words or outright rejection. More often, it is quiet, subtle, a sigh when you call, a lack of enthusiasm when you reach out, a sense that your presence is tolerated rather than welcomed. It is in the way they rush through conversations, in how their responses become shorter, their patience thinner. You begin to notice that they never seem to have time for you, that their energy is reserved for others while you are left with whatever little remains. At first, you try to explain it away. Maybe they are busy. Maybe life has pulled them in a different direction. But then you notice how their warmth returns when they need something from you. Suddenly, they remember to call when they require advice, when they need help, when it is convenient for them, And just as quickly as they appear, they disappear again, retreating into their world, leaving you with the lingering feeling that your worth to them is conditional. You start to question yourself. Am I asking for too much? Am I being too needy? But the truth is, genuine relationships are not transactional. True care does not come with conditions. A person who values you will never make you feel like you are a burden simply for wanting connection, for wanting to be included, for wanting to share in the lives of those you love. The cruelest part is how this treatment wears you down over time. It makes you retreat into yourself, hesitate before reaching out, convince yourself that maybe you should just keep to your own space. And that is exactly what they want, to create distance without ever having to say the words aloud. It is easier for them this way. They do not have to confront their own lack of effort, their own indifference. They simply have to make you feel unwelcome enough that you pull away on your own. But here's what you must remember: you are not a burden, you are not an obligation. Your presence is not something to be endured, it is something to be cherished. If someone consistently makes you feel otherwise, it is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their inability to appreciate what you bring to their life. Do not let their neglect convince you that you are asking for too much. The right people, the ones who truly care, will never make you feel like you have to earn your place. They will remind you time and time again that you are valued simply for being who you are. 6. They show subtle signs of jealousy. Jealousy is rarely loud. It does not always arrive with harsh words or obvious resentment. More often, it seeps into the space between conversations, lingers in the silence after you share good news, and hides behind forced smiles and lukewarm congratulations. It is in the way their expression changes just for a second when you talk about something that brings you joy. It is in how quickly they shift the subject when attention turns to you. At first, you may not even recognize it. You may believe they are distracted or preoccupied, but as time passes, you begin to see the pattern. Every accomplishment, every moment of happiness you share is met with something just slightly off. A hesitation before they respond, a comment that minimizes your success, a lack of enthusiasm that is noticeable even when they try to disguise it. Oh, that's great, they say, their tone flat, their eyes somewhere else. Or worse, they find a way to diminish what you have achieved. Well, I guess that's nice, but anyone could do that if they tried. This kind of jealousy is insidious because it does not announce itself. It does not declare war. Instead, it quietly chips away at your confidence, making you second guess whether you should be proud of what you have accomplished. It plants seeds of doubt, whispering that maybe what you have done is not so special after all. And yet, if the roles were reversed, you know you would celebrate them. You would share in their joy, lift them up, remind them that their success is well earned. But when it is your moment, they withdraw, unable to offer you the same kindness. This is because your happiness reminds them of what they lack. Instead of seeing your success as proof that good things are possible, they see it as proof of their own shortcomings. Instead of being inspired, they feel exposed. The danger of being around someone like this is that over time, you might begin to shrink yourself to make them more comfortable. You might hesitate before sharing good news, afraid of their reaction. You might downplay your own happiness so they do not feel bad about their own lives. But you must resist that urge. Your success, your happiness, your achievements, none of it takes away from them. And their inability to be happy for you is not your burden to carry. The next time you sense jealousy disguised as indifference, pay attention. Not everyone in your life will be able to celebrate with you, and that is their loss. Never apologize for your joy, and never allow someone else's insecurities to dim your light. You have every right to embrace your own happiness without needing permission from those who cannot share in it. 7. They gossip about you behind your back. There is something uniquely painful about discovering that someone you trusted has been speaking about you in ways they would never dare say to your face. It is not just the betrayal of your confidence. It is the realization that while you treated them as a friend, they saw you as something else. Gossip is not just idle chatter. It is an act of quiet destruction. It is a way of reshaping your image when you are not there to defend yourself, of planting doubt in the minds of others, of slowly turning people away from you without ever confronting you directly. At first, you might not even suspect it. The changes are subtle. People who once greeted you warmly now seem hesitant. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel strained. There is an unspoken shift in how others treat you. And though you cannot quite put your finger on why, you feel it. Then, perhaps by accident, the truth slips out. Someone repeats something they should not know. A friend asks about a situation you never shared with them, or a passing comment reveals that your words have been twisted, reshaped into something you never intended. It is a deeply unsettling feeling, this knowledge that your life has become someone else's subject of discussion. You replay conversations in your mind, trying to figure out what you said, what you might have done to deserve this. But the truth is, gossip is rarely about the person being talked about. It is about the person doing the talking. People who spread rumors are often driven by their own insecurities, their own dissatisfaction. Speaking about you gives them a sense of power, a way to elevate themselves by bringing you down. It is a form of control, a way to influence how others see you while keeping their own hands clean. The worst kind of gossip does not come from strangers. It comes from those who pretend to care. The ones who smile to your face while quietly undermining you behind closed doors. They do not want direct confrontation because that would require honesty, and honesty would expose their true intentions. So instead, they choose whispers, small manipulations, little distortions of the truth that spread until the damage is done. What do you do when you realize someone close to you is gossiping about you? You do not beg for their loyalty. You do not waste time trying to convince others of your truth. Instead, you step back. You let their words reveal who they are, not who you are. And you remember this: the people who matter, the ones who truly know you, will see through the lies. Let the gossipers talk. They only diminish themselves in the process. Meanwhile, you continue to live your life unbothered by the opinions of those too small to face you directly. 8. Their body language betrays them. Words can lie, but the body rarely does. A person can say all the right things, can smile at the perfect moments, can even act as if they care. But if you pay attention, their body will often tell a different story. It is in the way their smile does not quite reach their eyes, in the stiffness of their posture when you enter the room, in the brief flicker of irritation that crosses their face before they quickly recover. These moments are fleeting, almost imperceptible, but they are real. And if you trust yourself enough to notice them, they will reveal the truth that words try to conceal. There is something instinctive about recognizing when someone harbors resentment towards you. Perhaps it is the way they break eye contact too quickly, or the way their voice changes ever so slightly when they are forced to congratulate you. Maybe it is the tension in their shoulders when you speak, or how their laughter at your jokes always feels a little forced, a little too rehearsed. They may nod in agreement when you share something meaningful, but their hands clench at their sides, their fingers tapping anxiously as if they would rather be anywhere else. You have seen this before, even if you did not always recognize it. The friend whose hug feels hollow, the relative who keeps their distance just enough to make you wonder, the acquaintance who speaks kindly but whose tone is just a bit too cool. They may never say anything outright, may never admit to the resentment or dislike they feel, but their body knows no such restraint. No matter how hard they try to hide it, their discomfort will slip through in the smallest ways. Many people dismiss these signals, convincing themselves that they are imagining things, that they are being too sensitive. But intuition is not paranoia. If something feels off, it usually is. The mistake is not in noticing these signs, it is in ignoring them. A person who truly values you does not need to suppress their emotions around you. Their warmth is effortless, their presence easy. If you find yourself constantly questioning whether someone's kindness is real, if their smiles feel strained, if their words and their energy do not quite match, listen to that feeling. It is telling you something you need to know. You do not need loud conflicts or harsh words to recognize when someone does not truly wish you well. Sometimes the quietest signals speak the loudest, and when they do, trust them. Knowing the truth and choosing peace. With age comes clarity. You learn to listen beyond words, to recognize the spaces between sentences where truth often hides. You understand that people are not always as they present themselves, that kindness can be a performance, and that hostility does not always arrive with raised voices. It can settle quietly, disguised as indifference, as backhanded compliments, as a lingering absence when you need someone the most. It is a difficult thing to accept that some people you once trusted may not hold you in the regard you believed. But wisdom teaches you that knowing the truth, however painful, is always better than living under an illusion. It is better to see people for who they truly are than to waste your time hoping they will become something they are not. When someone shows you, again and again, that they do not respect you, do not value you, or do not celebrate your presence in their life, you owe it to yourself to stop making excuses for them. You have spent a lifetime building, growing, surviving. You have learned hard lessons and earned every bit of wisdom you carry. You do not need the approval of those who diminish you. You do not need to beg for kindness, for loyalty, for honesty. The right people, those who truly respect and love you, will never make you question your worth. They will stand by you, not just in words, but in actions. So walk forward with certainty. Trust your instincts. When you sense resentment, do not ignore it. When someone's actions do not match their words, believe what they show you. And most of all, never allow the insecurity of others to make you shrink yourself. You have lived too much, seen too much, and grown too wise to waste another moment proving your worth to those who were never capable of recognizing it. Keep your heart open, but your boundaries firm. The peace you protect is your own. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.